Okay. So Rosa, this issue about race has been all in the news. You got people believing that race relations are worse than they've ever been. What have you been thinking about that topic recently?
Well, I think it's Obama's fault. I think ever since he got into office, he stirred people up about race issues. There wasn't a problem before. Now it's all stirred up.
Got you. Okay. So I'm curious about, that's an interesting perspective. I'm curious about things like have changed a lot in our lifetime. What were you taught about race issues growing up? At some point, I mean, we all come into this world not knowing race exists. What were you taught about race, like in early years growing up?
Now that's an interesting question. I think I was just taught that if everybody stays in their place, then things will be better off.
Oh, interesting. Got you. Well, let me tell you what I was taught. That's interesting. I absorbed some messages from people that loved me about racial issues. So, for example, I had an uncle who was a teacher in the ghettos of Detroit, and even though his life was committed to his students, he would often talk about how it's really too bad about those people. They don't really seem capable of the same level of intellectual achievement that white folks are. And he tried as hard as he would love to talk about how hard he tried, but he would always add to that. I just don't think those people are, in general, as capable. There might be some smart ones, but in general, they're just not as capable. So this was my uncle who was doing it. So that's what I was taught. Did anybody ever, important figures in your life, have any kind of teachings about racial issues that anything similar to that? Because I know other people. Sometimes I'm not alone in having uncles who thought that.
Yeah, I guess my family and people thought that, some black people are okay, but they just need to keep them in their place and then things will be better.
So what did they didn't tell you anything about how those people were, that they stay in their place, but they didn't portray them as dangerous? I'll give you another example. I had a neighbor who was always talking about you got to be careful in those neighborhoods. He would take us to the baseball game. But when we go through certain parts, he was like, okay, lock the doors, this before you could lock the doors automatically. So I also kind of, you did?
Yeah.
What happened? Tell me about that.
Well, just like you said, we would drive through a neighborhood that was not a good neighborhood because I guess there was a lot of black people and poor people who lived there, and we would lock the doors, sure.
Right. I got you. So it's funny, I sometimes find that these things that I was taught before, they sometimes affect me now. A couple of weeks ago, I went to a thing at my job, a lecture about this new effort that we're doing at the job, and there was this black guy, and I found myself thinking, well, that guy's just as smart as me. And then I was thinking, why am I surprised that he's just as smart as I am? The message that these people were different was somehow in me. Do you ever find that you're still affected by any of that messages about those folks being dangerous or anything?
Well, I guess I probably am affected because you hear a lot about crime in inner city neighborhoods, and I think it probably does affect how I look at a black person. I'm kind of a little bit more
right. It is funny how those things that we learned a long time ago can still affect us. And scene. All right. Thank you, Rosa. Okay. So notice what I did. She resisted. Nevertheless, he persisted. Right. I pushed for experiences below the belief. In this particular case, I made it okay to have been taught something that's kind of negative. And then once I got there, then I made the link to the current behavior, and then I offered forward an experience how this affects me now, right? And then she did that, right? So you can see how it follows. It's a variant of the race method. Ask, connect, expand. But in this particular one, because racism is such a, because turning people into other is such a hot issue, I offer forward something, I ask, but then I also volunteer to make the ask to make it richer, okay? All right,